Don't buy that car if you earn less than 100,000 a month. That is Kenyan shilling. That's less than $1,000, slightly less than that. And by the way, I'm very aware this video gonna have a very heated debate, and you're welcome on the comment section. I know there's some of you don't even listen to this video or even watch this video. They just read the title. Oh my goodness, no. I bought my first car when I was earning 20,000. Listen, don't be emotional. This is about money, and we say thou shalt never consult your heart, consult your brain. Be logical than emotional. Watch this video to the end and comment. And by the way, if you don't like this video, still like the video. If you don't like this video, still comment on the comment section and subscribe if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel. Are we together? Let's be logical now. Let's get on this boat. And by the way, now here you are earning yourself 100,000 in a month. Okay, this 100,000, let's even say you have not even done any deductions. If you were to do the pay as you earn, the VATs and whatever the thing they usually deduct, probably this money will go all the way to 82,000. So this is clean cash. This is the clean cash that you're taking home. Are we together? And now, let's say this is John. John is earning this amount of money in a particular month. And John has a dream to own a car. And John, the car that he would like to own as his first car, let's say is a car such as a Honda Fit. Probably that car will cost you around 1.5 million Kenyan shilling. Are we together? Now, John is actually trying the best as he can, and for the next, I don't know, 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, John has managed to save, say, 500,000. Are we together? John is a million short that amount of money that is needed. But John knows there is another way out, that he can actually own this car by virtue of not just paying that money as of now. That's when I say buying, I used the term using a loan to buy this car. Now, there are different formations. There are microfinances, there are bank financing, there are hire purchase, whichever the method that you go with. Let's say, for example, he goes with the most popular one. I think that's the hire purchase. Now, John is being instructed, for the car worth 1.5 million, you can't do this 500,000 as a deposit because you're going to have a very big, wheel to roll. Probably John, let's say, he didn't even manage to raise the 500. John managed, say, to raise, say, 800,000 or even, say, a million. Are we together? But remember, John is earning only 82,000. For him to reach this particular target, it is very hard. Probably this can take even 2 or 3 or even sometimes 4 years. Depends on how he consumes this money. Let's say magically, John has the ability to raise their million shilling. And John does not want to buy a second-hand car, a locally used car, of which he can manage to buy that and get off the hook. But John still wants to buy that particular quote-unquote new car. That's what we call it here in Kenya. This is probably a 2018 car. Are we together? Now, John decides to go ahead and do a deposit of that a million that John has. And remember, saving a million with this salary is a big task. Now, guess what happens now? Any car that is worth 1.5 million, you are supposed to pay an interest of 10,000 each and every month. And John is given 2 years to clear this balance. Okay, therefore it means John will pay an interest of 10,000, are we together, multiplied by 24 because it's 24 months. Therefore, John will pay an interest of 2,240,000. And remember, John had a balance of how much? 500,000. So therefore, it is 500,000 plus 240,000. Are we together? You add the 2 so that you know how much the John will have. Then whatever you get here, you divide it by 24 because the period is 24. Roughly, this will give you around 31,000 per month. Do you know what that means? Then it means that John is supposed to pay 31,000 each and every month for the next 24 months for him to own this particular car. Now, remember, John earns 82,000. Therefore, it means out of 82,000, John is actually left with how much? 82,000 minus 31,000. That is probably 51,000 if I'm not wrong. So 31,000 minus, you subtract 82,000. Yes, John is left with 51,000. Okay, out of the salary that John is getting, is left with 51,000. Now, out of this, because the car has actually gotten that, because John is paying loan. Now, out of 51,000, John has to eat. John has a normal lifestyle. Are we together? John has a family probably, and what have you. Because of this salary that John is earning, which is 100,000, just if you're a Kenyan, you can just imagine someone earning 100,000. Which kind of a rent would he pay where does he live? Of course, we don't expect him to live in a shitty places, because in Kenya, John is regarded as a middle incomer earning that amount of money. By the way, if you're watching this from outside Kenya, someone who is earning 100,000 in Kenya, they're actually only 3% out of 100%, out of 52, 53 million people, only 3% are the people who earn 100,000 and above. Are we together? Now, out of 51,000, probably John lives in a house worth 21,000 in a month. Or probably, let's say John knows how to do his mathematics, he pays a house rent worth 18,000 in a month. So if you were to do the deductions here, 51,000 minus 18, now this is the rent. Are you together? This is the rent. 51,000 minus 18,000, we are doing normal mathematics, so that we see whether this guy is able to pay this particular house rent. Minus 18,000. John is left with 33,000. Okay? 33,000. That is what is left, 33,000. 33,000, John has not bought the groceries, the shopping, the food, and what have you. Let's say John uses equivalent of whatever he pays for his house rent. That is 18,000. Are we together? How much that is left? You that 33,000 subtract another 18,000 is left with 15,000. 15,000, that is what is left. 15,000, John has not fueled his car. Probably a car worth 1.5 million will need 15,000 to service, to fuel and do some other simple things and what have you in a month. Guess what happens now? John fuels the car, buys the food, pays the rent, pays the debt for the car, and guess what happened? John has not even bought the clothing for his family. Probably John, if has a family, say, educating, say, in terms of school fees, John does not have any money to send home, say, for something like black tax and what have you. John is actually in constraints. He's actually somewhere struggling, and that's why you find some of these cars are actually repossessed, because the guy just look at it from the lenses of 100k. Let's even say John was actually earning 100k. Let's even say John was not even earning 82,000. Let's even add 18,000 on top of the left 15,000. If you add 18,000 here, John is left with 33,000. 33,000 subtract 15,000 for his fueling and what have you. John is left with 18,000. So this 18,000, let's say John can use that money, say, maybe let's say John is buying, clothing and whatever. Do you know what? We are so much narrowed our expenses. We have assumed that John does not have even he does not pay the water bills, the electricity, the Wi-Fi. Are we together? John does not even do what we call normal outing here and there. In Kenya, we call it sherehe, or partying and what have you. But he's left with only 18,000. Now, guess what happens now? This 18,000 may not be able to cater for the Wi-Fi, the water, the electricity, buying some clothing here and there. If you have a kid for school fees, some black tax and what have you, you may not be able to do that because that budget is at the corner. Or if you will do that, then you are living a paycheck to paycheck until the day you clear this particular liability that you bought. By the time now you're paying this interest of 240,000, probably that car has already lost that what you've paid as an interest. You're paying more money for a thing that is depreciating in terms of value. Am I saying people should not buy a car? Hell no. I love cars. I would 100% support you buying a car. But please, if you have that $1 million, I would say, sure, if your target is Honda Fit, then go ahead and buy. With $1 million, you can get yourself a Honda Fit probably. Well, I'm not a car expert, but you can get your car maybe like 2015-ish. You can get a 2015 Honda Fit that is actually running very well. You should rather go buy that car secondhand for $1 million. Then guess what? You've salvaged or you have saved your 31,000 in a month. Definitely, I would support that. That one is okay, you can buy. But then, if you want to go for the newer one, and of course we know they're not new. I mean, 2018 car and we are in 2025, that's like 7 years ago. So it's not that, if you were to buy a 0 mileage, this one will cost, I don't know, 3 or 4 million or something like that. Anyway, the point is, you'd rather go buy that particular old car or second-hand car. You save yourself a 31,000 each and every month as a repayment. But if you still want to buy this, then how about if this 30, I actually ask people this question. Why don't you, if you were to part ways with the 31,000, why don't you then focus on investing this money, say in a money market fund, in a period of 2 years, and you tell me how much you're going to end up with? A lot of money. And you can just delay that car ownership in a period of 2 years. They will still be there. I remember back when I was in high school, we used to be told, oh, come on, don't chase those girls and what. Your girls are there. Just hang around, okay? Just, we are like, oh my God, we are missing. Until I realized, wow, it was true. They are all over the place. Are we together? Even the girls, our beautiful girls, used to be told like that. But now they know, oh, wow, we were chasing nothing. Now, if this guy can actually decide to buy a car, of which I can suggest, you can buy a car with that $1 million that you have. You only need the 15,000 to service that car and fuel that car. You have saved yourself 31,000. And that is exactly how you don't get yourself on the hooks. But if you go for this, that one is gone, you're left with 18. Probably if you do all the deductions here, you're left with probably 7 and 6,000 and you're gone. Even if you have a serious repair of this particular car, like a gearbox, and God forbid, you may not be able to do that. Probably that car gonna get into a repossession. That is it, guys. It is a bit tough. Sure, I know you may think like I'm the bad guy who comes here and maybe wishes you bad and I would like you to live in a very, horrible lifestyle and what have you. No, I'm not that kind of a guy. I would wish you own a car. I mean, it's good, it's great, but please do this kind of mathematics so that you understand whether owning that particular car is the wisest decision in town or otherwise it's the worst decision, because it can get you into crisis. I meet people physically. I met a couple. The last part I met was a couple, and they were forced to sell that particular car because they were struggling. They were not in a position to even service that particular car. Kids are here, they need to be taken to school. There's some black tax coming here. Black tax means this money that your parents or your siblings ask you like almost every time. If there are groceries to be paid, the lifestyle inflation and what have you. Because now the moment you buy a car, this guy will be forced to migrate from his house rent of 18,000. Let's say this place didn't have a parking. So this guy will be forced to go to a place where there is a parking. And of course that comes with its own price because you have to pay for that parking underground there in one way or the other. So probably the rent will actually increase. I mean, it comes with a lot of, other hanging things, and other hooks attached that people usually don't even, do the calculations on, consider that. Well, what is my parting shot? Be careful when you're buying a car, and you know what is the best to use before you get yourself into a problem. By the way, this is my number up here if you'd like to get my services in one way or the other. And you can shoot me a tech call or you can text me on my WhatsApp. And if you need my email, is on my description of this particular video. We can talk something. I'm not that perfect. When I say I'm not that perfect, I don't mean like I have the life manual. People say, oh, Joseph, you behave as if you have the life manual. And what? No, I don't. I'm a believer just like an iron sharpens another iron. So do we learn from each other. Just swallow that pride, swallow that ego. Just let's have a discussion. And probably you might actually uncover something that you didn't know that exists. I also learn, I also get advised, and that is exactly how you sharpen your skills and you move to the next level. Allow me to say goodbye and stay put for the next video. See ya.